everyone. This is Melds of Pinoy NZ, and we're here today with Ambassador Gary Domingo. And we want to know more about him, his role, and the struggles here in New Zealand, and what he can give as tips and suggestions to everyone. So, Amba, can you tell us more about you and your roots in
Okay.
Philippines?
Magandang umaga po, Kiara. Ako po si Ambassador Jesus Gary Domingo, inyong likod. I am the ambassador to New Zealand, but also concurrently accredited to Fiji, Samoa, Tonga, and Cook Islands. So, as ambassador, I am the representative of the Philippine government and the president to this country, and we are guided by Philippine foreign policy, and ang pinaka-importanting tinatawagan naming pillar or direction ay pagkampi at ipatanggol ang mga karapatan ng Pilipino. So the protection of the rights and welfare of overseas Filipinos is the number one priority of the government, but also to have enjoy good political, economic, and cultural relations between our two countries.
So, so how did you start with this role, or before you started this role, what were you doing po?
Okay. So actually, ito yung talagang unang-una kong trabaho or full-time job. So, pagpasok sa DFA to become an ambassador or to become first a Foreign Service officer, kailangan ipasa mo yung Foreign Service exam. Now, ayoko
Madugo.
magyabang, pero sabi ni
Madugo,
iba, sabi
yeah.
matud nila, that it's one of the toughest exams because most people don't really know how to prepare for it. It's not like a board or bar exam na you memorize a lot of facts and history, but actually you have to really show in this exam. It has a written part, may oral part. You have to show that you have a basic stock knowledge about the world, about the Philippines. You have some expertise in, of course, Filipino, English, and a foreign language, but also you can represent the Philippines and you know how to defend our kapwang Pinoy, our diaspora of over 10 million Filipinos all over the world. Well, through grace of God, I passed the exam in 1990, so doon ako nagsimula. So when you join DFA, you have to do some training, spend some years in Manila, DFA, our DFA headquarters in Pasay. And my first foreign assignment was at the Philippine, well, sa DFA is the agency that runs the embassies. We have three kinds of offices overseas. Yung embassy, yung mission, at yung consulate or consulado. So embassy is the office of DFA in a capital city like Wellington. Yung consulate ay office ng DFA sa isang city na hindi capital like Hong Kong, like Sydney. But there are also two kinds of consulates. One is talagang manned by DFA officers, and also we have, even embassies and consulates, we have what we call attachés, or people from other agencies like DOLE, Department of Labor, Department of National Defense, DTI, DOT. So we have career consulates, and we have what we call honorary consulates, which are basically run by volunteers. So we have honorary consulates in Auckland, in Christchurch, and also in Fiji. And soon we plan to expand and Cook Islands, and perhaps also Fiji and Tonga. A mission is basically a DFA office in the United Nations or an international organization like ASEAN. So we have missions in New York, Geneva, and Jakarta, for example. So my first job was actually as director for Middle East and African Affairs, and dun pumatok yung Iraq-Kuwait Gulf War. So my first major assignment was to coordinate the evacuation of OFWs from Iraq and Kuwait outside to safety. My first foreign assignment was in New York. I was there, the Philippine mission to New York, to the UN in New York from 95 to 98. Then I transferred to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So as you may know, we have over 1 million kababayan in Saudi Arabia. and so I was the what we call Assistant to Nationals Officer of the Philippine Embassy in Riyadh from 98 to 2002. Went back home, and then my next round of foreign assignments was with the Philippine mission to the UN in Geneva from 2007 to 2013. I went back home. I was Assistant Secretary for United Nations Affairs, and my perhaps what kept me most busy was I was DFA representative for the government's response to Super Typhoon Yolanda in 2013. So I helped coordinate the international assistance, and then it was time again for foreign assignment. Then here happily I was posted to Aotearoa, New Zealand in April 2016.
2016. So it's been 3 years, more
Yeah.
than 3 years now.
Yes.
Yeah. So Amba, you're mainly based in Wellington po,
Mhm,
diba?
tama.
But we can find you everywhere.
Well, as we have 72,000 Filipinos now in New Zealand, and we have
Wow.
several hundred scattered around my Pacific islands, we have to, because remember our government is all about service delivery, frontline service delivery. Practically every month we have what we call the consular missions.
Yeah.
Kasi, well, we have our honorary consulates in Christchurch and Auckland, but they cannot issue passports. So we do mainly passporting consular missions at least once a month. Ikot-ikot kami sa iba-ibang lugar,
Cities.
like Auckland, here Hamilton, Christchurch, Invercargill, and even to the Pacific Island countries. So buti lang, I have a team. I have a great team. I have 2 consuls and other staff. So we take turns in going around. And
Dalawa po ang Consul General natin?
na dalawang consul ko, si Bon Lakay and Fiamor Tiosen, consul and my vice consul. Well, talagang DFA career sila. Then we have a new honorary consular team in Auckland and in Christchurch. So they basically help with the more routine documents, yung mga notarials, and authentication of contracts and general advice. But also good news is that well, up to now, we don't have our own Philippine Overseas Labor Office. So they're very critical in helping out yung mga ating mga workers, especially with the verification of contracts, dealing with employers, and so on. We under tayo na yon up to now under Polo Canberra, but they're very
Hard to reach and
well,
very-
very overworked. So we have to also, we're delegated. So buti na lang, under this government and thanks to the president, we're offering our own polo in Wellington.
That's really good.
So we're actually, it's very finalized now. We already found space. It will not be at the embassy building sa Thorndon. They will have a nearby building.
Office. Will they be with you in the consular monthly?
Yes,
thing?
that's a
Oh.
team. That's I
Wow.
mean that's the
That's a
that's a
plan?
plan. That's
Yeah,
a plan.
that's
And
good.
ganun talaga, like when I was in Saudi, ganun din. Well, actually iba sa Saudi because we had, well, I mean around the world, whenever we have the passporting mission, we, as much as possible, we bring along the labor. But sometimes even labor does its own missions, own
that's
special missions.
So that's a good news kasi hindi na email papadala ng mga cheque, Australian dollars na
Yeah.
bank drafts,
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So ano po yung mga naging struggles niyo when you came here in New Zealand? Matigas po ba mga ulo ng mga Filipinos
Well,
dito?
actually, I really enjoy dealing with our kababayan. Pero my work is it's parang munisipyo. So, I'm very inspired by our president, Digon. He's a mayor. And so, we have to be like a mayor in the sense that we really deal upfront with the people. And, but I'd like to put it, I'd rather say not anong mahirap, it's more of the challenge and the opportunity. Because I would say that New Zealand is one of the best, if not the best home for Filipinos overseas. And I think it's New Zealand that really allows us to excel. For example, I think that I've seen that ang dami-daming mga ducks, or what we would call valedictorian, na Pinoy. And I think if you did, Sana, you could help us. If we got the records of ilan talaga mga ducks and Proxima accessit or salutatorian. We compare that with other countries like US, Canada. I think ours
Marami sa New
marami.
Zealand.
And also look at politics. We're the only country in the world now that has a full-blooded Pinoy in the national legislature, si Paulo Garcia, with National Party. And that's not all. Even the Labor Party
Has got a
recruited a
Filipino.
Filipino, si Romy Udanga. In the labor movement, we have Dennis Maga as the head of First Union. I- There's no other country na ganun. Even the US. Yeah, maraming Pinoy sa US, but do we have somebody, have we had a full-blooded Pinoy
That can
sa,
represent and
that, well,
help.
the US Congress, yung federal Congress. State level meron. California, Hawaii, but so I think it's because when they wonder, and I discovered how wonderful this country is. We're very privileged to be here. That you have the, and I think in a way it's like I was just from the Canyao, or the gathering of the Cordillerans. There's a new group called Phil at NZ that had their celebrations here. And if you look at yung mga tela ng Cordillera Mag-Igoro, it's just like the Maori, in red and black. And as you know, the migration ng mga Maori, mga Pacificans, duman sila sa Pinas. We are cousins. In fact, as you know, probably know, tuwang-tuwa ako nung pumunta ako sa mga Pacific Island countries ko. Siguro alam mo ito, anong pinaka-paborito nilang TV show?
Mga Filipino soap operas.
Exactly.
Because every time like we have patients, I was like, "Are you Filipino? Oh, we watch your Lobo and all those things. They're more updated with our
Yeah.
showbiz."
And especially Gulong ng Palad.
Yeah.
And I asked why. And as you said, they identify it. It's like looking in the mirror. So they see us kasi magkahawig tayo. We're also very family-oriented, very loving, Christian, Catholic, English-speaking. But
Even the
also,
words, isn't
yeah.
it a pronunciation
Yeah,
like
the
yung
yeah.
kahit Maori numbers? Very
like
similar.
what's our lima is rima in Tereo or the language of Maori, but even closer sa Samoan or Tongan, lima is lima. But interestingly, also some of the challenges, they say island time, Filipino time, because we are living in paradise, sunny countries where the pace of life is very very gentle. So also again, so with that basic roots, then we have we come from a English-speaking education system. So well, again, a lot of strong similarities. That's why we adapt very well, and as I had mentioned, I think if we calculated the number of top high school graduates who are Filipino, which they call docs, we call valedictorian, I think the ratio to total population is perhaps highest in the world. We have the only national level parliamentarian legislator, si Paulo Garcia with national, but also the other lead party, Labor, also appointed a Filipino candidate, Romy Udanga. So that appreciation, welcome, all that, no country can beat New Zealand. Now, what are the challenges? Well, I think also basically we are doing very well, but what are some of the challenges? I think again, some of our kababayan are being taken advantage of. Again, it's not so serious. It's as bad as some other regions of the world, but there are still some challenges. Like, for example, like in some other countries, some employers are not straightforward. They will change the terms of the contracts, the work hours, your assignment, and one is really grabe is pastoral care. Pastoral care referring to yung board and lodging and transport. Sometimes they're being overcharged, and sometimes there is some bullying. Although Kiwis are very welcoming people, there are some cases of bullying, and also on education. Now, while New Zealand has some of the best schools in the world, some are exploiting it by making false promises back in the Philippines, saying, basta mag-aral ka sa New Zealand, makaka-migrate ka kaagad. Now, it used to be very flexible, easy before, but things are tightening up, and especially this current government now has stated that they want to take a breather and maybe
Reduce immigration.
yeah, to trim down migration numbers. But again, I'd like to say that New Zealand, look at New Zealand, it's an amazing country. It is the first country that gave women the right to vote. It has perhaps the best framework for the indigenous people and the new colonizing peoples, the Treaty of Waitangi, which I think is a good influence for our Bangsamoro peace process. It is also the country which is also quite, although it's a Western country, it's also quite balanced and neutral. For example, it opted no longer to join the nuclear umbrella of nuclear weapons of the Australia, New Zealand UNZUS.
Okay.
It's again very cutting edge on gender issues, disarmament, climate change. It's the first country. It's a country that's often used to test new innovation, like the ATM and the FPOS were perfected in New Zealand, and the response of Prime Minister Ardern to terrorism is now the world standard. So there's so much we can learn, and so one thing that I encourage Filipinos to do is to only share these wonderful experience with your friends, relatives, and our schools and our government back home.
So ano po usually yung mga dinudulog sa inyo ng mga kababayan natin dito sa New Zealand?
Okay. So again, most of yung mga problema umabot sa amin are more on the mga bagong dating and still on work visa. Yung hindi, of course, hindi pa permanent resident or fully settled. So again, contract violations, that underpayment or sometimes even underwork, yung sa pastoral care, that masyadong mahal or siksikan yung housing, mga ganon. Now, some of the things, so those are, we try our best to we work closely with the MBIE, the Labor Inspectorate, Department of Labor, POLO, to try to address these concerns. But yung ibang problema, yung mga kababayan mismong pagkagawa, yung I'm sad to say, maraming cases ng drink driving, for example.
Really?
Oo. And so, kasi siguro, our kababayan should do their homework before they're coming here. They should realize that
It's strict.
it's very strict. It's no laughing matter. It could get you deported.
Is it like only one glass per hour or something like that?
Yeah, there's a certain.
Yeah.
So the general thing, kung gusto nyo there's nothing really wrong with socializing inuman per se, but I think it's best
Get
if you
the
have
driver.
get a driver or stay home.
Stay.
Stay home overnight. Sleep it off. So it's no joke. People have been sent home because of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Sent home? Were they on a working visa then they didn't get their residency because they have their problems with the drink driving?
Yeah. So serious yun. And then what's very sad is Pinoy exploiting kapwang Pinoy. So there have been many cases of some businesses like balikbayan boxes not being delivered. There have been cases of even labor recruiters or education advisors, immigration advisors misleading Filipinos in their coming over here. Some owners of restaurants underpaying their staff. So,
Filipino staff.
Oo.
Filipino owners.
Yeah. So, so the basic advice is, first of all, of course, this applies to everybody, is that be fair, be honest, be transparent. But also, I notice yung ibang kababayan natin, especially the newcomers, they're very reluctant na magreklamo because they're very afraid to lose their jobs. But at the very least, tell us if there are problems. We're here to help. So the best way to contact us, may nagreklamo. Bakit tawag kami sa embassy, walang sumasagot? Remember, we have only 12 staff and 72,000 Filipinos. Now, there was a study by the Department of Budget and Management. The proper number of embassy staff should actually be 50 to handle all. But we try our best. But so actually, the best way to contact us is actually through Facebook messaging or emailing. At the advantage there, nandiyan na mga detalye. And there have been times may tumawag, they left a message, pero hindi kompleto yung details. So it's best na, pasensya lang po, but it's best to para ma-action ka. I mean, sinasagot namin kaagad-agad yung Facebook messages. So check the Philippine Embassy New Zealand Facebook page or our website if you have concerns. Now, at least we're able to provide immediate advice, but sometimes we will direct you to the police, we will direct you to the Labor Inspectorate, or the unions can also help very much. But remember now, the key is union membership.
Yeah.
So
to
this is
remember.
something also we encourage you to look into. But I know many kababayan are reluctant. Maybe they feel this may jeopardize your work or this, but no, there shouldn't be. And we have our good friend si Dennis Maga in First Union who can help advise. We have our parliamentarian si Paulo Garcia, and also we have multicultural labor who's headed by Romeo Danga, and we have and we also have some
Volunteers.
yeah, volunteers. We have our consulate volunteers. We have something called Pinoy Helping Pinoy, which is, you look at the hashtag Pinoy Helping Pinoy, which is our coalition, which started in Auckland, and it's to help our kababayan, and it really works with our established Philippine NGOs, community organizations, and the labor unions. We have a new coalition called Good Hearts, hashtag Good Hearts Philippines New Zealand, which is also helping Filipinos in need. But it also started a series of workshops on insurance. So isa pa yun, that Filipinos are even. Again, what's also sad is sometimes you have your friends, relatives visiting. Make sure may travel insurance. May maraming kaso na nagkasakit and it's not covered kasi hindi sila, it's not in they're not employees. And
We have covered that though in our
Yeah. Okay.
other
Good.
video with
Okay.
the insurance.
Yes.
Yeah. Because about like surgeries, hospitalization, it's very expensive here in New Zealand. You really have to have
and then
travel insurance.
honestly, the embassy does not have money for that. We don't have the funding for that. What we do have funding for, we have a legal assistance fund. If the case, but case to case, hindi automatic yun. So if there are serious legal cases, but otherwise New Zealand generally has very good free legal assistance. But but again, if in doubt, just contact us if you're in trouble, you need help. We're here to
So
help.
maybe before lumping them with lots of questions that can be answered in Google or searching the website, check the website of the embassy. They have a Facebook page as well, our Pinoys in NZ group.
Yes.
There's already lots of topics there. We've already discussed how to report the birth, how to report the marriage.
And napapasalamat ako sa Pinoys in NZ because it is the most popular, well-subscribed Facebook group. And that's where I read. So when I post something, not just in my personal page or in the embassy website, I always make it a point to also post in Pinoy's NZ. Minsan, nagiging mainit na debate, pasensya lang po. It's good, at least we get these issues out.
Yeah.
And I really thank Melissa and her team
you.
for this great initiative and for this chance to talk with you. I hope this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
And,
We can address more challenges, and you can ask us more so at least we have that cover and we have that video which you can just rewatch again to remind you or to check what are the answers to your questions.
well, one thing I raised earlier on when I started becoming active in Pinoy's NZ. So gumawa tayo ng FAQ na permanently posted. So kababayan can check that first kasi we take the most basic questions kasi paulit-ulit yung mga tanong. So
What we're planning to make a video as well for the rules that
very
will
good.
discuss how they can actually search that previous topics in the group, because most questions has already been asked: how to get NBA clearance, how to get OEC, like previous experiences of our kapwa Pinoys in NZ. They can just use the search box of the group, and you'll see lots of topics there and lots of opinions.
So we also have
very
to be
helpful.
careful. Sa minsan, some well-meaning kababayan, medyo tagilid or mali
This
yung...
will discourage you or will give you wrong information. So double check.
Yeah. So, as far as basics tips is concerned, but I think that applies to people in general, but especially mga kababayan who are planning or to come to New Zealand or bagong salta, is do your homework. And if you do the PIDOS, or you're supposed to do PIDOS, really listen well. And for example, there are some misconceptions like if you want to come to study in New Zealand, you don't need to go through an agent or an advisor. So contact the school directly, look for your course. But if right now, the way things are, if you come to New Zealand to study, just expect to study. Don't expect it to be a shortcut or a launch pad to long-term work. And if you are looking for work, nevertheless, New Zealand still needs qualified workers in many areas, particularly like sa dairy, sa construction. Unang-una, generally, you have to go through an agency, generally speaking. So if you go through an agency, don't, first of all, iwas kayo sa mga offers sa Facebook. Ang daming mali, daming scam doon.
POEA
It
list.
should be a POEA listed. Now, there are some exceptions made direct hire, pero bihira lang yun. So look at, and anyway, we can post in Pinoy's in NZ or NZ. Well, where can you find news about what are the available jobs? So, the skill shortage categories and all that. So we'll point you to the official New Zealand government and the official Philippine government.
We've
sites.
got a link on our page, on our group as well, about the skill checker
Yes.
and what we need here in New Zealand for
Okay.
shortlisted.
But
yeah.
honestly, I say, while New Zealand is one of the best homes for Filipinos overseas, I would caution about having high expectations of finding work now. Other countries, take a look also. Australia, Canada, for example. I'm not discouraging you. I'm simply saying keep your options open. And also, one thing that maybe you may have the impression is, kasi our standard usually is the US. Sa US, mahirap ang kakuha ng visa. But once you get in, it's...
Madali mahanap ng
Yes.
work or
Yeah. Here, kabaliktad. It's quite easy to get to New Zealand. It's very hard to stay on, especially balak nyo, honestly, TNT. Di pwede. So, dun nadadali yung iba. They think, basta nakapasok sa New Zealand, bahala na. No, it's not that easy.
konti lang, madaling hanapin.
Yeah. Do your research, do your homework. I mean, it's funny na Filipinos are the number one users of internet, social media. Kaya lang, we use it to chat, to communicate, but we don't use it for information and research. So,
I think even me before, I'm really hesitant to search Google, but it's different now. Like in our website for nursing registration, you can search everything there. In their website, Nursing Council, step-by-step process. In immigration, there's tips on how to settle in New Zealand, what they need here, all listed there. You can just type what you do in Philippines or in other countries, and then they will tell you what are your options. Like, you can be given working visa and all the rules. Yeah.
So the rule of thumb, if you're ang balak nyo talaga sa New Zealand ay to work, you must get a work visa. Although they say, student visa, you could work. Don't be misled. You have a few hours to work, but it's not necessarily magiging permanent or long term. Or things may change later, but for now, medyo
mahirap.
Mahirap.
Iba yung experiences before, and iba rin yung experience ng mga tao ngayon. Very strict.
So best thing is I update in Pinoy's in NZ in our embassy Facebook page. So just stay tuned.
What's the name of the embassy page?
Philippine Embassy in New Zealand. Very very simple. And one thing I'd like to also emphasize is that one of the things that I think we can really maximize is Filipino music talent. So yes, we appreciate those yung mga galing Pinas, but we have so much great talent here in New Zealand itself. So this is one of our advocacies. #PhilJamNZ is to have more opportunities to showcase our talent, not just among ourselves, but to Kiwis, to the big audience.
I think there's a big opportunity here. Like New Zealand's Got Talent.
Yes.
I know there's lots of Filipinos there that
So,
can.
and I guess, I think Filipinos generally, we should come out of our shell. Like, we have the annual Pista, but I'm so grateful to I'm here in Hamilton, Waikato Filipino Association. So we collaborate together for the first ever Pulong Pulong. Because normally when you have the Pista, it's mainly, the sports tournaments, you have the beauty pageant, and the food, of course. But we wanted to inject more substance. So I'm so glad we had the first Pulong Pulong of issues.
We missed it.
Oh, no problem, because they will be posting the results. So it was a discussion about work, labor, and really key matters such as that, about your living and working in New Zealand. Then we had the Friday gimmick, where we had the happening with the youth, Filipino youth. So another important priority of the embassy is to make sure our youth, and not just our youth, but all of New Zealand, are able to be exposed and connect with our culture. So we're encouraging the teaching of Filipino language and culture. And also we're looking forward to there be more Paulos and Romis who enter politics. So we're also starting them young. We have an annual workshop on how to how to embark on a political career in New Zealand. Also, I'm very proud that actually we had also, even for our Pinoys and those who are dual citizens, don't forget we can vote. And remember, OFWs can change the direction of the Philippine elections. And we'll be starting our overseas absentee voting registration later this year or early next year. Now I'm so proud. There are 72,000 Filipinos in New Zealand, 300,000 plus in Australia. Last election we had over 19,000 registered in New Zealand. So Australia, 13,000.
Wow. So mas maraming gustong makibaka. No?
But of course, there were some problems in the delivery because it's change of address and we changed. But just make sure you update your record. Sayang, your vote. And also, those who are qualified to vote in the elections here because this is our voice. This is our opportunity. I mean, this land is so welcoming. Why not maximize that opportunity? So basically, I said, be proud of our culture, but share it with others. Really introduce. And maybe the last thing is I have the volunteer ambassador program, youth ambassador. You could find out more information from our Facebook pages. But one thing I'm particularly keen on is promoting tourism through our volunteers. And the immediate leg would be Leyte Summer. So our Leyte Summer kababayan in Auckland are spearheading a tour of Leyte Summer later this year. So also we're encouraging all our other regions, the Cebuanos, Western
Davao.
Visayas, Davao, Mindanao, Cordilleras, Bicol.
To invite your friends from New Zealand, and maybe you can all go have a
in
tour
a
in
group.
Philippines. Yeah.
So because if you go to Flight Center, you see brochures of the other countries, but we have the advantage. That's why I like to say, you see maybe more presence of the other Asian countries in the restaurants, travel agencies. But our advantage is we have 72,000. Imagine each one is an ambassador. So we can work with the embassy with the advantage of working together is we can get good deals from Philippine Airlines. We can work with the local governors and mayors so that we get the red carpet treatment. But we need you to bring your friends, neighbors, classmates to join you and show them the beauty of our country, the beauty of our home province. And remember that when you come to the Philippines, you're coming to family. And it's more fun in the Philippines.
Thank you po, Ambassador.
Okay. One very last thing. We're also encouraging more business and entrepreneurship. So one of the things that, especially coming from the health sector, I think you could really help us with is we're encouraging health and retirement tourism. We're encouraging Kiwis to consider coming to the Philippines for retirement, but also for medical dental procedures. So a lot of Kiwis already go to other countries like Thailand, India, and so on. Why not the Philippines, where actually the world's best nurses and doctors come from? So that's a kind of overview of our direction.
So everyone can help the embassy and be a volunteer ambassador.
Yes.
And help our country progress.
Absolutely.
Thank you po, Ambassador, for giving us time.
Maraming dagang salamat po.
Thank you.